And I guess we're using the victory music. Maybe we shouldn't be because the Los Angeles Dodgers won something tonight, so it feels like a loss. But welcome in to the PHNX D-Back Show right here, live again from the Tipsy Oak in Arlington. Big shout out to this place for putting up with us and allowing us to do our show from here. Of course, my name is Derek Marte, occasionally known as your mayor of Arlington, Texas. This manager, vice mayor of Arlington, occasionally known as Thunderstick Jesse Friedman. We got our guy Kyle back here joining us tonight, and we are so excited to have all of you guys here with us as well. I love this night, Jesse. I love the Home Run Derby. I love it more, I think, than any other event in any all-star format or any other sport. Yeah. And I was very, very excited to attend my first Home Run Derby tonight. I was also a bit disappointed by it. I'm not going to lie. It was a blast to see all of the home runs flying out, but I think we're going to go over why tonight's Home Run Derby felt a little bit like a dud.
Yeah, I mean, and yes, I say this as someone who loves the Home Run Derby as much as just about anyone out there.
Sir.
You know, I was on a radio show in Tucson this morning with our pal Justin Spears over there. Does a great job, and I was talking about how the Home Run Derby is like the coolest thing in all of all-star events. I mean, there's something about a home run that I just think is kind of an awe-inspiring thing for people to witness in person. And when they're happening, you know, one right after another, it's really, really cool. But yeah, tonight was I don't know. It just didn't hold my interest in the way that I think home run derbies have in the past, at least for the most time for me. And I think there's a number of reasons that we can get into for why that might be.
Absolutely.
The biggest one in my mind is that the list of participants for this year's Home Run Derby was, I mean, it wasn't terrible. Like, Gunnar Henderson's a really cool player, right? I mean, Teoscar Hernandez certainly has some power. Like, Pete Alonso has a long history of participating in the Home Run Derby. I'm sure we'll talk about
he
more
has
later.
Been in a lot of them. He was not very successful tonight.
Not very successful tonight. But yeah, it just it missed the star level punch that I think you get when you have some bigger names in an event like this, and that was maybe one of the reasons why it didn't quite hit home for me the same way today.
See, I think the thing is I like young guys participating in this. I like young, exciting players. I thought the finale between Teoscar Hernandez and our guy, Bobby Witt Jr., who we were rooting for heavily at that point, I thought very much that was an exciting finale. I enjoyed the fact that these guys were once high school rivals who are now facing off in the Home Run Derby. This was very, very cool. And I thought that the finale, to be honest, was pretty great. The reason why is because it was the head-to-head format. You had Bobby Witt Jr. that kind of seemed like he was kind of outclassed there a little bit at the end, you know, and then he kind of puts on an impressive comeback.
He was very close. It was very close.
And like you said, yeah, we get to that point where home runs start flying one after the other, and things were very exciting at that point. But yes, like you were saying, it's kind of weird because the Home Run Derby format has changed, and it didn't really feel like it needed to be tinkered with. It felt like when they had switched over to the head-to-head format starting in round one, that felt pretty good. It felt like it worked. It felt fairly exciting, and there's just something that's more – it's better when two guys are facing off and one guy has to hit more home runs than the other, right? Especially when you have one guy go up and put up a significant amount, and then the second guy essentially sees that hill that he has to climb, essentially, and sometimes surpasses, sometimes can't get the job done, but it always felt more exciting to know that they had a goal, you know, going out there and facing off against another guy. I understand the downside to that. I really do, because you do have face-offs where a guy gets to the next round for hitting 15 home runs, and then you have other ones where guys –
it's not really fair.
Yeah, both players hit 29. One guy had to hit 30, or they had to go to a face-off figure it out, and then one guy gets sent home in the first round. I understand why the head-to-head format is flawed. However, it just seemed better than what they did in the first round this year. And they did get to head-to-head in the second and third round, so that was fine. They were trying something, with the first round being open and just trying to move on based on, whoever hits the most.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. When you're just taking the top 4 guys, you don't really have a sense for what it will take to advance until you're on like the 5th or 6th guy. And so it's like, yeah, this guy got, 19 or 20. Like, that might be good. It might not. We don't really know yet. And that's kind of how it was for the first few guys. I did kind of like the bonus time, not actually being timed, but just being a number of outs.
Sure.
I thought that was cool because it gave guys an opportunity to just sort of get on a nice run.
Right.
Where if they were just hitting homer after homer, I mean, they could really add to their total in that bonus time.
And we saw a few guys do that. I think Jose Ramirez did that. Teoscar Hernandez did that in the last round.
Yes, he did.
I am not on the same boat as you guys. I mean, like, the new format had its flaws, and I really did like the old format. Like, I loved giving a guy 5 minutes to just let it rip, right? No swing limits, no whatever. Just give him 5 minutes and let him rip.
Yep.
Take as many swings as he wants.
Well, and this wasn't even swings. This was pitches.
Right, this was pitches.
You couldn't even let
really limited.
You couldn't even
Well, it was
let
pitches or time, depending on
correct.
which game
Correct.
first.
And they limited the time to 3 minutes.
But my point being is you couldn't just take pitches like you could in the past, right? Because sometimes
then you'd run out of time.
Yeah, then it's not just running out of time. You literally have those pitches, if you take them, count as a pitch.
But at the end of the day, there's still something about dudes launching baseballs 470 feet that is inherently exciting.
Well, and that's
100%.
That's what I said, especially the finale. The finale was great. There were a lot of great performances tonight. My God, who was it? Who hit the ball 400? Was it
473? I think it was Ozuna.
Yeah, Ozuna.
Ozuna?
I mean, it was almost concourse. And Derek and I were talking about there's no way anybody's going to hit this concourse out here. And we thought maybe going into it they would. But then we were like, well, we vastly overestimated these guys.
We very much did. We went out there. We saw how hard it was just to get it
to
like
that
500
feet.
Second tier of fans.
It feels pretty close.
Right.
Feels pretty close, but it's like 500 feet.
And those tickets, by the way, in the standing room only section back there, like, there were a lot of people with gloves, a lot of people that thought balls, this guy included. I very much thought after coming out here for the Futures game that would be a good area to stand to maybe catch some home run balls. There were not many making it that far, that's for sure. That's a very, very long ways away. But there were some guys absolutely hitting the crap out of the ball. And you were right. Like, we wanted to be excited, though. And here was the thing, is that finale really did bring out the best of this competition.
Suddenly the place felt very alive again toward the end.
But you're right, because this was my first time attending, and based on watching it on television, I felt like other years that the crowd has been more excited. This crowd wasn't very excited, and I think the answer is that we were all pretty bummed out after that national anthem. I mean, it was hard to get your head back into the game after watching that little girl absolutely butcher the national anthem. And look, I'm not going to talk about, basically not being clutch. You guys all watch this show. You know I'm not clutch at times, but I will say that, my God, like, why do I have to do this about a little girl? I don't know. It was the worst national anthem I think I've ever heard in my entire life. There were people in my section that were booing this small child, and I felt very bad after a while because it very, very much felt like she was just trying to put her own spin on it. And
once you're in the moment, that's hard. That makes it so hard. Like, I do feel bad when people start to boo or laugh or do things.
Oh, it was.
It's hard not to.
Yeah.
But because it was. I mean, look, for lack of terms, I hate calling people out for this kind of stuff, but it was hard to listen to.
It was.
And
and it's not just that, but it's also the fact that, like, I don't know, the national anthem is one of those things that even if you're a very good singer, a lot of times people don't want to see you putting your own spin on it. Even if you can hit certain notes, people don't want to see you doing the ooh thing and stuff like that, right? Like,
better or worse than Fergie?
Yeah, exactly.
Was it better or worse than Fergie?
Oh.
See, I've heard a few people reference that today. I think I missed that somehow. It was pretty
Jesse,
bad,
I will
though.
play that for you on the way home.
I'm fairly certain, though, she was drunk or something when she was performing. She tried
to go full jazz is what she tried to do.
Is that what that was?
Maybe,
okay.
Maybe. But see, here's the thing is it's not the fact that young people can't perform, because the most exciting part of this home run derby took place between two high school kids, Jesse. That was what got the place pumped up. That's what got the place going. The high school players, California's Josiah Hartshorn and Mississippi's Jacob Parker, they went at it in the high school home run derby, and they lit the place on fire because these guys only had 1 minute to hit as many dingers as they could. They were using the aluminum bats, which sound amazing.
That's
in that
fair.
echo-y.
They did have a slight advantage.
Oh yeah, but it sounded amazing in that building. But of course, both players kind of struggled at first to try to get home runs going. I mean, these are young kids, and they're trying to hit in a very, very big ballpark. But they got it going, and both of them did at the right time, enough to tie at 5 home runs apiece. And the crowd lost their mind. I think it was Jacob Parker who was
the
second.
last swing.
It was Jacob Parker's last swing. He hits a home run. The crowd loses their mind because it was tied 5-5. The biggest, honestly, up to that point, it was the biggest reaction of the night. And this was meant to be the intermission, essentially, between round 1 and round 2.
Yeah.
And then nothing.
Well,
they give us nothing.
Then
they bring both guys out, and they just give them both the trophy, and they're just both guys win.
They only had 1 trophy, so it looked to me like the person presenting the trophy, I think he was holding it himself.
Yeah,
and they were just like in the photo with him.
Yeah, he's like I'm taking this trophy home because neither of these loser kids could have gotten the job done tonight. No, my problem with that is that you mean to tell me that you have 2 high school kids that are equal in skill level going out there and hitting baseballs for 1 minute, and you didn't even think that there was the possibility that they could tie?
Yeah, in 1 minute, the chance of a tie is pretty high.
Pretty high.
But I mean, I think that the TV networks, the powers that be, they probably didn't have time, or they didn't think they had time to extend that intermission out.
You know what it is? Here's what it is. This is an example that it doesn't matter. Like, yes, you're right, what you said earlier. If we could, the participants would be the biggest names in baseball, and even some of these guys, right? But it's the fact that there isn't the big names in there going up against someone like Gunnar Henderson, right? That doesn't make it feel that exciting. When it's all kind of guys that are like, relatively, I'm not going to say these are new names. Marcell Ozuna is a guy that's been in baseball for quite a while.
Yeah, Ozuna is one guy that I will get into.
Right.
What our ideal home run derby
we absolutely.
In a second. Ozuna, spoiler alert, is in mine.
Yeah, he's not in mine.
Okay.
And I think because I still have feelings, right? There's still feelings there about Ozuna. I don't think he should be taking part in stuff like this, but I guess some people feel like he's paid his time, he's paid his dues, and whatever. But I will say, I definitely feel like his performance this year merits him being there.
Yeah,
where,
100%.
As in the case of a lot of these guys, a lot of these guys have hit dingers. Gunnar Henderson, he hit the least amount in the home run derby. He struggled
really
today,
struggled.
and he has, I think, the most home runs of all of these guys during the regular season.
He only hit 11 in the first round.
I cursed everybody I cheered for. First round, it was Gunnar. But second round, it was Jose Ramirez. Both guys ended up with the least amount of home runs in their respective rounds.
Yeah.
Good job,
and then I cheered for Bobby Witt, who then eventually lost.
Yeah, also lost. But my point being is that it really doesn't matter at times when you get caught up in the excitement of something like the Derby, because you can enjoy even 2 high school kids going at it. 2 high school kids that you've never heard their name before, but just the fact that they both tied and that it made it exciting, and that honestly it was the what's coming next. Like, hey, they're tied 5-5. The entire crowd there, at the ballpark, all expected to have some sort of like, are we going to get 30 seconds for each kid now? What are we going to get? And then we got nothing. We got a shared trophy. Nobody likes a tie, especially when you should have thought that out. And I think that kind of goes to the format of this home run derby, which is, some of the rule changes, some of the things they've done is the reason why I felt like it kind of lacked. Yes, the participants were part of it, but I also felt like they didn't deliver those exciting moments often enough. And it honestly, like any great tournament, the great moments could have been delivered by those head-to-head matchups there in the first round.
You got to go head-to-head from round 1.
That's it. I think that's
it. I mean, I understand the fairness component of, it is a little silly for guys to, like Derek said earlier, one guy can hit 27 homers and lose to someone else who hit 29.
But if I make the playoffs as a team and I score more runs than another team that somehow happens to win their round, but I wasn't playing them, does that matter to anybody else? Like,
we get it, Jacob.
That's the luck of the draw.
Yeah, I also will say that Alec Boehm had the most homers in the first round, I believe, or was tied for the most. He and Jose Ramirez both had 21. And Alec Boehm, man, like I don't want to hate too much on Alec Boehm being in this event, but Alec Boehm has hit 20 homers in his career once. And that was last year, and it was exactly 20 homers. This year, he's on pace for about 19 or 20 again.
He hit more today than he's going to hit the whole year.
Yeah, correct. He absolutely did by a wide margin. It just seems like, this field of players just isn't what Major League Baseball needs it to be for this event to be everything that it ought to be, in my mind. If you were to get, Shohei Ohtani to participate in something like this, the watchability factor, the audience probably goes up very significantly. And unfortunately, that did not happen today. And I'm not sure that Major League Baseball is going to be able to pull that off anytime soon. But yeah, I mean, it's Alec Boehm, it's Oduelis Garcia, who, granted, he's the Texas Rangers guy. Like I understand wanting to have a member of that team, but he's obviously struggled this year. Pete Alonso, who we've, I don't know I have to say much there. People, Diamondbacks fans, certainly not on board with him being in this event. Ozuna, legitimate, at least from a on-field, what he's accomplished perspective. Gunnar Henderson, legitimate. Jose Ramirez, yeah, I think so. Like, I don't necessarily view Jose Ramirez as being like a big slugger, like home run derby type player, but he hits a lot of homers. You got to hand it to the guy. And then Bobby Witt, I think having him in there is fine. He's obviously an up and coming star in this game. And then Teoscar is kind of, fine again. Like, not like terrible players or anything, but it just isn't the star-studded list that you would hope baseball to have.
Right.
Something like
no
that.
Shohei Ohtani, no Aaron Judge. These are guys that I would have in there.
So what's your list? Give me your list of 8. Who do you want to see?
Here's the problem is that I don't think my list is very star-studded either. It just has that combination of those things.
You picked 8 Diamondbacks, didn't you?
No, I picked 1 because I'm not a maniac. But I did pick Christian Walker, who I don't know how people would react, especially after seeing today's home run derby. I mean, I think that Christian deserves it. We all know Christian deserves it, especially with the way he's been playing lately. But I kind of get that he doesn't have that star power that we're talking about this missing. I would say, I like the idea of someone like Christian Walker, Gunnar Henderson being in there. I also like the idea of, even though it happens fast, during the season, but I would like the idea of a guy that kind of springs up and becomes, kind of a star overnight to be a part of the home run derby. And that's why I would like Rhys Hines to be in the home run derby from the Cincinnati Reds.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm insane.
In those statements, that basically means he wished Aristides Aquino was also in the home run derby a couple years ago.
Correct. That's it. But yeah, I would have Bryce Harper, but he's obviously injured. I know, but that's the thing is that I feel like if you have a Jose Ramirez, you have a Gunnar Henderson in there with the likes of an Aaron Judge, with the likes of a Bryce Harper, that establishes them as a star, especially if they end up beating one of those guys in a head-to-head matchup.
All right, so I've got you want my list, Eric?
Sure.
So I've got this would be electric. It will never happen, but it would be electric. So Ohtani, Bryce Harper, Elly De La Cruz. Talk about some raw power there.
Yeah.
Ozuna, which granted I understand what you were saying earlier. Maybe you don't want him. Juan Soto.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge. I mean,
you're gonna have 2 Yankees?
Yeah.
Imagine if they faced off against each other.
See? That's the other
off against
layer
each other.
of this.
That would be amazing.
I would do everything I could to try to get them to face each other, honestly.
First round, you guys are going at it.
And then, and there's another one, more potential for that. Kyle Schwarber.
Versus Bryce Harper?
Maybe you get a little Schwarber versus Harper action. And then he's hurt, but I want Fernando Tatis.
Yeah. See,
he would be my 8th guy.
That would be so much fun. To have a couple of all-stars that were from the same team match up against each other, because the shit talking would be amazing. Just the entertainment value would be through the roof there.
It absolutely would. But the reality, again, is that I don't think Major League Baseball is ever going to get anything close to the list that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
I saw Ken Rosenthal talking about this the other day on Foul Territory. He was talking about how the relationship between the league and the union is kind of strained right now.
Yeah.
And so players are not going to be as receptive to these invitations as maybe they would be if the relationship there was better.
The thing that sucks about that is it's an acknowledgement of it's an achievement. It is a award, if you will, for your performance, and for them to take it any other way because of that strained relationship is unfortunate, and it just shows how bad that relationship really is. Because as much as it's MLB and the owners technically honoring that person or whatever, it's really the fans, especially with the fan vote, and really it's about the way you performed as a player in the first half. Like, nobody's making it to the All-Star team without merit. I mean, even as much as we want to clown Pete Alonso is still up there as far as the top home run hitters. And honestly, when you look at this list of players, is the guy that kind of adds a little bit of pedigree to this home run derby based on the fact that he's won it in the past. He is a big star. When you go to a Mets game, everybody's wearing a polar bear jersey, and he's a guy that yes, maybe the allegations that he kind of demanded to be on the All-Star team in order to be in the home run derby are true, but
I fixed it.
He kind of deserves that.
What did you?
I did it. I did some math over here.
What do you got?
What did you do?
Not only are we doing a home run derby with implications on individual success, you are splitting into two teams, a National League team and an American League team.
Okay.
Interesting.
Your National League representatives are Shohei Ohtani, Bryce Harper, Fernando Tatis, and because I have to, he's picking a left-hander to throw to him, and Ketel's hitting from the right side of the plate.
Okay. All right.
Now, for the American League, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Yordan Alvarez.
I had Yordan Alvarez.
Yordan Alvarez is a good one.
And Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who is quite possibly one of the best contestants that we've ever watched.
That's true.
In the home run derby.
Vladdy bizarrely doesn't hit that many homers, but he is very well built for
the home run.
derby.
He cranks them out.
Yeah.
And that's just.
I think there's something to be said also about the fact that if you are the current champion, you should have to defend your crown.
Sure.
Obviously.
Yeah, they had him walk out to present the trophy, and it's like,
right.
What is
no,
Vlad?
no,
I don't care. I don't care.
No, you should be out here trying to hit some bombs right now is what you should be doing.
But wouldn't teaming them up, though, wouldn't that kind of create the issue that, or just continue the issue that we were talking about earlier, where you don't really have a sense for who's winning or losing until you get pretty far into it?
I mean,
so
if you've ever watched golf, I think you could do this very similar to the Ryder Cup. Each person has an individual match, USA and Europe. Every match counts for a half a point. You win your team a point, and so then you have some sort of competition. Correct.
Okay.
And each participation is worth a win is 1 point. If you tied, it'd be a half a point to each team. And then a loss is 0 points.
All right. Maybe we do some kind of we create this stat that's based on not only the number of homers you hit, but how far you hit them. Maybe it's combined distance.
You guys are you're boring the shit out of me.
I think combined distance has some potential. Maybe you weighted a little bit depending on whether it was pole side or opposite field, even though we don't really see any opposite field homers.
Do you want to give them a home run if
each home run could be each home run could be a point, 2 points, 3 points, whatever it is. Sure.
That's because then you're creating it's like the 3-point line in the NBA.
Derek doesn't like
this.
Right?
This is the goddamn failure that was the future skills competition. It's this exact same thing. They're overthinking it.
I think you simplify. I think it's just a home run is 2 points.
No. So
he's going to get too many analytics into this.
400-foot homer is
See what
3
you started?
points.
You opened this Pandora's box.
425 is 4.
Oh my God!
And then
I've never
450
been so bored.
is 5, and it just continues to go.
See,
up
but
from
you
there.
can't watch you have to think about being able to the watchability of it on television. So you have to keep it somewhat simple. We broke Derek. We can move on.
Yeah, you broke me. You broke me. I just want to see hit dude smash the ball. Can we just go back to which dude hit the ball more times over the fence than the other dude? Can we just go back to that?
I mean, was that not what tonight was?
Well, it wasn't for the first round.
I mean, they took the top 4.
But that's where I lost interest.
Right, it's what we talked about. It doesn't matter if I watch the second person because there's still 6 more people that he's going up against.
Here are the high points of the home run derby. The Texas Rangers crowd all leaving in shambles after the first round because Adolis Garcia was eliminated.
Yeah, he wasn't great.
And then the high school kids in the final round. That was it.
I will say that you were talking about like losing a little bit of interest. You weren't the only one. You might have noticed that they have the audience that's sort of on both sides cheering for everyone who's participating, and that audience kind of dwindled pretty significantly.
Yeah,
talking about like teammates and their families and whatnot.
Yeah.
By the end of the home run derby,
hard to keep a 4-year-old entertained for 3 hours.
But I think that's a sign that maybe this event's a little too long. And that's at least kind of something that I felt. Is it just feels like it takes a little bit too long to really get interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I would be interested in really any way that would just kind of make this event a little bit shorter and try to make the moments that you have more intense.
Pitch clocks.
We did get a super chat, by the way.
Oh yes.
Yes, we got a super chat from Legendary-ish Dad.
Let's go.
Says,
a fellow Legendary-ish Dad.
Thank you for the shout-out. It was the guy sitting behind you. Thank you for the shout-out.
Hey.
Seawalk should have been at the Derby and the All-Star game. Y'all enjoy.
Hey, man, our guy came out. Big shout-out for that. Of course, it's always wonderful to run into Diamondbacks fans. We saw a lot of Diamondbacks fans at the game, including Ketel's family we saw out there walking around the concourse. And we also saw a couple of big Diamondbacks fans, Tony Perez-Chica and Dave McKay, taking in the home run derby.
Yeah, they go to a lot of games.
They do.
They are big.
They are big fans. Those guys are big fans. But, of course, we're big fans of you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here right now on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Tell your friends about us because we love finding new Diamondbacks fans to come watch this show. We were just doing that here in Texas. It's great to spread the word. Of course, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do so now. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever our wonderful shows on this network go live. And, of course, drop us a like before you get out of here. We appreciate you guys doing that so much. If you are listening on the audio podcasting side, make sure you leave us a review over there. Make sure you're also subscribed on your favorite audio podcasting app. We would appreciate that very much. Also, check out Indeed.com. Whether you are looking to hire, whether you are someone looking to be hired, you can check out Indeed.com because Indeed.com is driven by the search for better. They are driven by the search of finding you better candidates, and they're driven by the search to get that candidate to you faster. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed will help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide right now that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/AllCity. Just go to Indeed.com/AllCity right now and support our show by saying you heard about this Indeed deal on this podcast. Indeed.com/AllCity. Terms and conditions applied. Need to hire. You need Indeed. Well, we are closing in on the opening date of Deadpool and Wolverine, which is a very significant date for me because I love Ryan Reynolds, and I support everything he does. And, of course, I also support Mint Mobile, and I force this entire company to because not only am I a Wrexham fan, but I'm also a fan of cheap mobile service. And when I say that, I mean premium wireless service that doesn't cost you much at all, including right now, if you sign up, you can start with a wireless plan at just $15 a month. That is just $15 a month. Of course, for 3 months at $45, that is probably still a third of the price that I currently pay on wireless service, right? So Mint Mobile is here to rescue me and you with premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month. Ditched overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's limited time deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for just $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and get your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. That's mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Diamondbacks. And if you do that, make sure to tag Van City Reynolds in a tweet and tell them that it's because of me. And I figure if we can get enough tweets sent to Ryan Reynolds, I can achieve my goal of joining his staff to help manage the Wrexham Football Club, which is really what this whole gig is all about. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on a first 3-month plan. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. Well, we had much more today than just the Derby, even though that is the focal point of the entire All-Star weekend for me personally. But
I think we fixed the Derby.
We did it. Yeah. Just, again, MLB slide into those DMs, figure, I don't know what kind of position you'd want to create. Maybe Derby Czars? We could be the the Derby Czars, right? I
like that. Yeah.
But, again, the Diamondbacks did arrive here today. You got a chance to see not only Torey and Ketel, but you also got a chance to see a lot of their, I guess, teammates for a day talk about partnering up with one of their NL rivals.
Yeah. I went around and just asked some of the other National League players about, first of all, what it will be like playing for Torey Lovullo after, playing probably a lot of games against him and maybe getting to know him to some degree. But obviously it's different when you're actually playing for the guy. So talk to Trey Turner, talk to Logan Webb, talk to Jeff Hoffman, a few different guys. It was fun kind of getting all their perspectives. Logan Webb had a pretty funny response when I asked about Torey Lovullo and what it'll be like playing for him. So here is what Logan Webb had to say about that.
Every guy I've talked to that's played for him absolutely loves him, and I do talk to Jock still all the time, and he loves him. And obviously you've seen how he can lead a team, right? You see the team last year, I'm excited to play for him for a day, and then I'm going to try to keep kicking his ass every time I play him after that. So, but no, it'll be fun.
What kind of things have you heard about him?
Just the leader, just that he's a great leader. He's a great guy in the clubhouse. I watched a little bit of that documentary where he gave a speech, and I think everyone listens, and everyone, when he speaks, it's all eyes on him. I think that's a great quality.
Well, this is very good for recruiting for Torey Lovullo.
Did Logan Webb just admit to watching Snakes Alive?
He did admit to watching Snakes
Wow,
Alive. That got to be the documentary he's talking about.
Did Logan Webb binge Snakes Alive in spring training? That seems like a bit of an odd thing.
It's tough not being on the NL pennant team.
Yeah, it's true.
I guess so.
Well, and I also like what he had to say there about playing for him for a day and then going out there to kick his ass.
That's the reality of the situation, right? They all have to awkwardly pretend like they like each other, and then they can go back to normal, I guess, on Wednesday. So.
Well, in the case of Torey and Mookie Betts, they actually do like each other. We know that very much. But
yeah,
that is a weird thing because these guys do. They played for each other. They played with each other. Then they're rivals on opposing teams, and it's like. I know they get all caught up in it, but that's kind of what the All-Star game is about. It's about this love and appreciation for baseball and amongst the best in baseball. That's why it's so cool to see things like Torey calling in to the Dan Patrick Show to tell Paul Skeens live that he will be the starting pitcher for the National League team. And, of course, it's what's cool when you talk about documentaries, when the Diamondbacks aired that little clip of Ketel being told that he was going to make the All-Star team. Torey telling him right away that he was going to start, that he knows the manager, he's going to put in a good word for him and all of that stuff. But, Ketel very much, we've kind of gone around and picked on the fact that Major League Baseball did not do a good job of featuring Ketel at this All-Star game. We would love to see more gigantic pictures of Ketel with his swag and his style all over the place. But we know that he spoke about missing last year, and Torey said that a lot of his motivation this year was to make the All-Star team based on missing on sharing with all of his teammates last year that joy. Now here he is as the lone representative for the Diamondbacks in this year's All-Star game.
Yeah, Ketel's a man of few words, at least when he's speaking through a translator, which is understandable. He seemed to be talking quite a bit more to some of my Spanish-speaking colleagues who were there, who could actually communicate effectively with Ketel.
Deal with it, Gringo. All right? That's what the fuck's going on.
I see some Duolingo in Jesse's future.
Hey, man, I took Spanish 101 and 102 in college, and I do not remember a darn thing. So that was great. But I did ask Ketel a couple of questions, and there was a translator there to help out. So here's what Ketel had to say about making the All-Star game this year after missing out on the opportunity a year ago.
Me siento contento y Dios es justo.
He said, I feel happy and God is just.
It sounds like you kind of gave you some extra motivation maybe coming into this season after not making it last.
Suena que te dio más motivación venir como tú estás esta temporada en vez de la temporada pasada.
Simplemente yo me mantengo trabajando y tratando de poner los números siempre.
Simply, I just work hard and try to put my numbers in there always.
You mentioned God is just. You feel like it was kind of an injustice last year?
Tú mencionaste que Dios es justo. ¿Tú piensas que era injusto lo que pasó el año pasado?
Los números estaban ahí, yo no sé.
The numbers were there. I don't know.
There's something like you can kind of appreciate about these short chippy answers here, especially the first one. I am happy and God is just, right? Like that is. I think that's a good encapsulation of Ketel's feelings on this whole situation. Like, you know, it didn't happen for him last year, and he very much believes that it should have. And you know, I think at the time we certainly saw a case for that. But it did happen for him this year. And this year it would have been especially egregious if Ketel Marte had not made the All-Star team. I can't even imagine the uproar among Diamondbacks fans if that had been the case.
I mean, it's not even a question about whether or not he's an All-Star. It's a question about whether or not he's an actual MVP candidate this year. And that's that's the honest truth. It's not just a matter of speaking from being a homer, which you know I am. It's very much speaking from a perspective of looking at his numbers both offensively and defensively and seeing how he has impacted specifically this Diamondbacks team. And obviously, you know, Torey would be the first person to credit Ketel for being the most stable member of the offense as far as, you know, consistency and you know, providing this team with big moments. But, you know, Torey also is having his moment here. This is big for Torey to get an opportunity to manage the National League team. And I joke about it, but it's not the worst thing that Torey is such a likable manager and that these guys do get an opportunity to play for him in this scenario. You never know how that can impact their judgment, considering that a lot of these guys don't really get to know opposing managers sometimes, other than moments like this.
Yeah, I asked some of the pitchers as well, like what it's like facing Ketel and some of the challenges that presents. So be sure to check out our YouTube channel where you'll find some of those.
We got lots of that.
Some of those videos.
We're cooking it all up tonight.
Yeah, there will be a nice influx of content here over the next 24 hours or so.
But speaking of which, we have Torey speaking with the media.
Yes. This is, of course, Torey. The way that he told Paul Skeens that he was going to be starting the All-Star game was unique, and that he called into the Dan Patrick Show as Dan Patrick was actively interviewing Paul Skeens. I'm sure people saw the clip. It was pretty cool. And here's Torey talking about how that came to be, sort of where the idea came from to do it that way.
It was a combination of both. It was a last-minute plan that was certainly improvised. I've been in contact with Michael Hill. I let him know what my decision was the day before the announcement. And as I watched him deal and throw 7 no-hit innings, it became something I couldn't wait to tell the world. But Michael said, "Hey, let's do this." That he's going to be on the Dan Patrick Show. Why don't you just butt in on their time and we'll just make it as fun and playful as possible. So Dan Patrick I was a big fan of his, and I was actually shocked he even knew my name, and I kind of had my 2 minutes with him and Paul. It worked out perfect.
Oh yeah, that's amazing for Torey to be like Torey Lovullo, who managed the team in the World Series last year, is like, Dan Patrick knew my name. Big time.
Torey, that's happened a few times with Torey. I remember Coach K wanted to have him on his podcast or something like that, and that was also a big deal for Torey.
That's a big deal for anybody. That's Coach K.
Yeah,
Coach K. That's another level. But
that's an All-American coach.
That is an All-American coach right there. You're not wrong. But you got anything else from media today with those guys?
Yeah, I mean that's most of it. Trey Turner did talk about how he was. He had a very short interaction with Torey Lovullo today, where he basically said, "Why on earth am I batting third?"
Yeah.
That is currently up on our YouTube right now.
Yeah, that one you can go watch right now. So yeah, there's some good stuff there, and Torey's obviously has a reputation as a player's manager for a reason. Guys really like being around him and playing for him. So it'll be fun to hear more of those stories tomorrow.
Yes, and of course I know. I have to apologize to everybody because I know it's Monday, and I know normally we do that thing around here on Mondays, but
it's not Monday.
But it's not Monday. It's not. It's Sunday. Is it Sunday? What day is it?
It is Monday.
Oh,
It's not Monday.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Technically speaking, we've been working since
I don't
last
even know-
week,
I
and we don't know what day it is,
I don't
so
even
it's
know
not
what day
Monday.
it is. No, it's day 9 in a row.
You guys want another beer?
No, we're good.
Okay.
Thank you, though, man.
I'm
Appreciate you.
all right. I'm all right.
But of course, we'll get back to your Mailbag Monday questions, resuming when we return to Phoenix in a week. In a week? You got one more week with me on the road.
Oh,
Are you going to
gosh.
survive? I don't think you are.
Maybe
but-
we should do we should film a Mailbag Monday for just diehards, but maybe we do it while we're on the airplane.
Oh
That
my
seems
God.
like I think the acoustics there would be ideal, right,
Oh,
Jacob? Like that sounds like great recording conditions.
Jesse loves giving Jacob brand new challenges that he's never experienced before. Hey, Jacob, do you think we could come to you live from a parking lot in the middle of Dallas? Forget power. Why would we need power or an Ethernet connection? But of course, we love you guys. We thank you guys so much for being here. We also love Desert Financial Credit Union. They always check the count for us. They always make sure our numbers are correct. And for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit union, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make your life better, my life better, our lives better. So you can join a credit union that is committed to giving back to the community and sharing that success with its members. Right now, when you open a free checking account online, get $200 in bonuses. Get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. And let's talk about game time.
Oh.
I need to talk about game time, Jesse, because game time was a lifesaver on this trip. Jacob and I had no idea at times how we were going to get into the home run derby, how we were going to get into the All-Star game. And of course, we just had to keep our eye on Game Time. And Game Time, of course, is the place for last-minute ticket deals, which is exactly what we got. Standing room only, I don't want to disclose how much standing room only tickets were directly from the box office, but all I can say is from that area, you could not see where a single home run ball fell. Maybe one or two might have come somewhere close to you, but I'll say for a much, much cheaper price than standing room only, Jacob and I had a beautiful view of watching this home run derby. And I can't thank Game Time enough for not only making it simple to use their app, but for saving us so much money on getting us some quality tickets, because tickets for this event were outrageous through some resellers. And, of course, you know how scalpers can be. So this was delivered to us before we even got to the event. Everything was easy, simple, saved a ton of money. And not only that, but I love the fact that Game Time had, like, with the tickets we bought, they specifically were like, these are the best. There's a little notification that tells you these are the best deals right now on this event that you could get. So that was exciting to know that we didn't have to worry about whether or not those were actually good prices on those tickets. And of course, we did keep an eye on it.
We got the best deal.
We got it. Like, that view was amazing, Jacob. That view that we got. And of course, like, when they say take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time, it is guesswork, because you never know when you're getting an actual good value on buying a ticket for an event like this, especially with how limited, tickets can be for something this big and how many people want to go. So download the Game Time app right now, create an account, and use our code of PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Well, before we get out of here, day 2 of the MLB Draft did happen.
It did.
And I guess it's kind of like if a tree falls in a forest but no one hears it, did it make a sound? If no one cares that day 2 of a draft happened, did it?
That
Does
seems
it matter?
a little over
I
the
know,
top
it
there.
really is. But
Paul Goldschmidt was taken in the 8th round, all right?
you know how I feel about Paul Goldschmidt.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. That doesn't mean anything
it
to you
means
because
meaningless.
you think Paul Goldschmidt's terrible.
Yeah, no. Well,
the only person we care about now is Ryan Waldschmidt.
Waldschmidt. I know
yeah.
Goldschmidt, that's old news. Waldschmidt, that's my guy.
Yeah, and we'll get into what happened on day 2 probably in tomorrow's show when we have a little bit more time to dig into it. But yeah, Ryan Waldschmidt did speak to the media today, so we'll be unveiling some video from that. We do have a clip to share with you now, which is Waldschmidt talking about how he was the Corbin Carroll pick. The only reason the Diamondbacks have him is because Corbin Carroll was on the Major League roster early enough, and because the Diamondbacks obviously started the season on the opening day roster, and then he went on to win the Rookie of the Year. So that was the prospect promotion incentive that the Diamondbacks were awarded an extra pick for that. So this is Waldschmidt talking about what it meant to him to be that pick.
Yeah, I knew that the pick came from somewhere, the compensation pick area. And then the more I looked into it, the more I realized that it came from Corbin Carroll's Rookie of the Year. And, it's just super awesome to be a part of that. And, being an outfielder, that's someone that I've always kind of looked at, just tried to model my game around, tried to pick up some things from him just growing up. And to be the pick that he created is pretty cool.
It's got to feel a little bit like fate for Waldschmidt. And not only is his name Waldschmidt, which obviously makes so many Diamondbacks fans excited, but for you to be a player who was impacted by injury, who was actually ranked much higher. A lot of scouts had him going 12, 13, somewhere in that area. And of course, one of the big question marks for him was the 2 injuries that he suffered that have been pretty significant. He broke his knee in a collision that he had playing catcher one time where he got a concussion and he got a broken knee. And then he also tore his ACL making a throw by stepping in a hole, Jesse. It's like some freak accidents there happening to him while playing baseball. And like he said, he just plays baseball very hard. And, of course, between those injuries kind of putting him in a position where some teams passed on him and that Corbin Carroll pick, it does seem a little like fate that he was able to end up landing on this Arizona Diamondbacks team.
My favorite thing about that Waldschmidt clip is that he talks about Corbin Carroll being a guy that he's like always looked up to growing up.
Looked up to, he says.
Corbin Carroll is 2 years older than Ryan Waldschmidt. Waldschmidt is 21. Corbin Carroll is 23. He's like, when I was 5 years old, I was wearing Corbin Carroll jerseys. It's like, man, Corbin Carroll was 7. But yeah, good stuff there. And yeah, we'll be talking more about the draft in the coming days for sure. We haven't had a ton of time to dig into what happened today, but we'll be sure to dig into that more here in these next few days.
He might not be a 5'9" outfielder like Slade Caldwell, but he is still another
right, it would make more sense for Slade outfielder to say that.
Yeah, right.
It definitely makes sense. More sense for Slade to say that for sure. But that's all we got here. Very excited to bring you more tomorrow night from the All-Star game right here in Texas. And hopefully we'll have a little bit more time to spend with you. It's been one of those situations where we are limited based on the hospitality of wonderful people like the folks here at Tipsy Oak. We thank them again so much for allowing us to do the show here, not just tonight, but for, Saturday night as well. Yeah. So we've been having a great time here in Texas. All of the wonderful people here have been incredibly hospitable, and we have really enjoyed the ballpark, honestly. Like,
Speak for yourself.
I've changed my tune on Globe Life
Derek
Field.
and I are in love.
Yeah, we're just look, man. We watch a lot of games at Chase Field. This guy gets to go on the road. Okay, I don't know what this is like, so I'm just.
That's fair. I was at Petco Park.
Yeah, just a week ago. Yeah,
but nothing beats Ryder's Stadium.
Oh yeah, this man was definitely mad at us for saying Ryder's Field is one of the best baseball parks in all of baseball.
If you had said one of the best, I wouldn't have had a gripe, Derek. It's that you said top 3. You didn't say top 3 in minor league baseball. You said top 3 specifically in baseball across the board, and that is just obviously an outrageous thing to say.
I watched baseball while drinking a twisted tea in a lazy river, and you're expecting me to not think that was the greatest experience I ever had? Bullshit. But anyway, we thank you guys again so much for joining us. Of course, join us back here tomorrow night after the All-Star game for another wonderful night, wonderful recap of that, especially Ketel and Torey's night. Hopefully, Jesse will be bringing you a little bit more from Torey and Ketel.
Yeah, we'll get to talk with probably both of those guys afterwards.
Yeah, so join us back here for that. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at Cap_Caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Of course, our wonderful producer, Jacob, that's been putting up with us and really carrying a lot of equipment around and trying his best to make sure this show gets happening. We appreciate you, Jacob, a ton. Make sure to follow Jacob at Jacob_Franklin 4 because he's the 4th best Jacob Franklin, but he's still number 1 in our hearts. Of course, our show's at PHNX_DBacks, but all roads do lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We will see you guys tomorrow night right back here. And in the meantime, we hope you have a lovely evening. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when a Los Angeles Dodger does not win anything.
We all silly like the mayor.